Hey, have you ever felt a screw up? Have you ever felt frightened, scared, guilty, embarrassed? Well, this is a little bit moving on from one of the not too distant longer podcasts, hashtag 274, when you decided to create this inside you. We've got into detail and there's a great process at the end, but you have to listen through before you do the process. Okay? Enjoy. Oh, and talking about that process, I think you find this is going to be a unique experience because I don't know, well, very few podcasts will give you this type of experience within the podcast itself. I only know of a couple of people who do. So I really hope you enjoy it. Hey, this is the Personal Development Unplugged podcast where we use hypnosis. Yeah, hypnosis. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Don't worry what it is. It's just a mass of processes that we're going to get you to change. Change to let go of anxiety, low self-esteem, and create massive supreme inner confidence. But that's confidence in your competence and competence in your confidence, which means you can do anything and be safe, to enjoy the world as it should be with you at the helm, creating the life that you want. That's what this podcast is about. You and being the best you could be, singing from your real voice, aligned with your mission, aligned with your passions. That's what it's about. So if you're interested in letting go of anxiety, if you're interested in letting go of fear, guilt, all those blooming syndromes, imposter syndromes, and every little bit of the mind which is negative, then have a listen here because we've got some wonderful processes and lots of good conversations between you and me to get us both thinking in such wonderful ways. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Just take the chance to have a listen.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, back with the longer episode, the longer Personal Development Unplugged thing that we're going to look at. I'm a screw up. What a title, eh? I'm a screw up. Am I referring to me? I don't know. Maybe. That's for us both to decide, I guess. But you see, here's what I thought about. I'm a screw up! ! But I'm not a screw up. But deep down inside, I feel like one. A stupid one. And that's a quote from a recent email I got about other stuff. But it'd been stirred up by things and, well, I've answered that and done things with that. But can you relate to that? Or maybe relate to it in maybe a different way, but the same way. Things like, well, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I don't belong here. But you see, but I am good enough. You might think that intellectually. You might be told that. Of course you're good enough. But deep down inside, do you know what? I don't feel it. I don't feel good enough. I don't feel worthy. I don't belong here because I'm stupid. Things like that. I just feel like that. And it doesn't matter what anybody says. That's how we feel, isn't it? Can we all relate to that? I can. In different contexts and different times as well. Because as you change and as you grow and as you start doing different stuff, what happens is you jump into another lake, another pond where you become the smaller fish in with other big fish around and things like that. You expand call it that comfort zone. You expand your familiar zone and that familiar zone becomes unfamiliar. And we get like imposter syndrome. But it doesn't matter what anybody says. It doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter what anybody says. How do they know? How good do they know you are? But even if they did, it doesn't change a blooming thing, not one iota. Because intellectually knowing this stuff, intellectually knowing that you are good enough, yeah, I know I do that. But it's overridden by the emotion, isn't it? Of that unconscious feeling, that unconscious knowing, as it were. And I wrote knowing before, then I crossed it out because it's more of a feeling, because your unconscious mind knows better. It knows that you are good enough. It knows that you're not a screw-up. You're not stupid. But it uses that. And we'll work that out in a minute. You see, in my hypnotherapy and my coaching, I get this all over the place. So often. So you think you're alone, by the way. I know I used to think I'm alone when I used to think I'm not good enough, I'm stupid, I shouldn't be here. Who the hell am I to be a trainer? What experience have I got? But it didn't matter how many years or how good I was. Still felt that way. And just like that person who sent the email in reality, they're so far away from being a screw-up, so far away from not good enough. In fact, they've excelled. They have excelled in doing such a good job with their life. But the thing is, still didn't feel it. They didn't feel good. So how's that happening? How's that happening? You do a good job. You're doing marvelously at life. You're succeeding and you still feel a screw up. You still feel not good enough. You still feel not worthy. You know you shouldn't be here. I'm stupid. But hey, have a think. And we touched on this. We touched on this when we go back to that hashtag 274, the longer podcast 274, where when you decided to create this. And I know that stirred up some thoughts in people's minds. Decide it. I didn't decide to do it, and you have to go deeper into that. So I wanted here to be a little bit clearer. Let's be really, really, really clear. When you decided to do this, it wasn't you consciously going, do you know what? I'm going to think I'm a screw up because that'll be a good idea. No, your unconscious mind decided. Unconsciously, it decided in your best interests with the most wonderful, loving, positive intention. Way back then, whenever it was, generally it's in our childhood. Doesn't have to be traumatic, by the way, just something happening. Your unconscious mind didn't like what was happening. Now, it could be that you experienced a little bit of hurt, maybe a little bit of insecurity. Maybe it was something scary a little bit frightening, a little bit embarrassing, maybe a little bit having that guilty feeling. I mean, you can name anything, fill in the blank. And if you think about it, you might even, as you think about the feeling you're feeling now, when you think you're not good enough or you're a screw up and things like that, well, you may get one of those labels come up. I mean, does that resonate? Does it resonate with your feeling right now? I'm a screw up, not good enough, not worthy. I mean, to think about it, they're great limiting beliefs, aren't they? Absolutely top-notch, top dollar, top draw, Premier Division. Limiting beliefs because they're limiting, but they do something good for you as well. Because if your unconscious mind wants you to protect you from being hurt, scared, frightened, embarrassed, feeling guilty, it gives you a lovely belief that you're a screw-up, you're not good enough. And what does that do? Well, you'll do one of two things. It'll protect you in a way because you'll either not do that thing, and therefore you can't get hurt, embarrassed, frightened, scary, feel guilty of it, from that event, or you will buckle down. You will learn everything you can learn. Do everything you can do to make sure that you don't feel hurt, frightened, scary, embarrassed, feeling of guilt. Because, you see, that's what your unconscious mind did way back then with the experience that it had from that younger you. The wisdom and experience that the younger you had was very small, wasn't it? So it was the only thing your unconscious mind could do to try to protect you. But here's the thing. When you think about that feeling you've got when you feel a screw up, even though you've succeeded in maybe your career and what you've done, I think sometimes we still feel frightened, scared, hurt, embarrassed, guilty. That feeling's still there because all it does is just get bigger and bigger. The more you do, the bigger your unconscious mind says, I've got to save you even more. I've got to push this feeling, push this belief. I started off thinking I'm not really good enough. I'm not that good. Now I know I'm not that good. Now I'm a screw up. I'm stupid. All below the surface, though. You don't necessarily get it there and then, but it's below the surface. You see? It did those two things. Stop you from doing that stuff that might be scary, hurtful, or frightening. Or experiencing maybe embarrassment or even guilt. Guilt for not doing something. You just don't want to be there. Or, as I said, you will prepare more than ever, more than the next person. I've seen it so many times. Not necessarily a perfectionist, but a lot of people are when they're like this. But they do want to do their very, very, very best. There are some people who just nonchalantly go through life, and if they screw it up, and they don't care. But you do. But, hey, Cluffy, you never say a but. Because a but negates everything that's gone before. Well, I want to negate everything that's gone before, in a way, because that's gone in. Because you see, it's not working, is it? It worked then, the very first time. It may have worked a little bit after, but it's not working now. Certainly not as good as it could do, because you still want that protection, that great intention. What a wonderful intention to save you, to keep you protected from hurt. Something that's frightening, that's embarrassing, that's scary, that could make you feel guilty. Isn't that lovely to have as a best friend? If you knew you had a best friend who would keep you safe and help you to keep away from all that stuff, and you knew you could, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be awesome? Yeah, let's think about that now. What would life be like if you had a total belief in yourself that you were always going to be safe and comfortable? That feeling was gone, and that belief was gone. I'm stupid. I'm a screw up. You could do anything, couldn't you? You would do anything, and you'd do it well. And you'd put all that effort with flow. The energy would be easy to use, and it would always be there. But you see, this is what's happening. And this is what I try to explain on 274, and I'm going to do it again-ish, because the more you speak about these things, I know I'll never say it the same again. And even if I repeated this episode, I'll never say it the same again. It's like every metaphor I tell or you hear. They're never the same, and you never get the same response. Something clicks in, because you're a different person every time you either say something or you hear something. So this is like building on 274. And if you haven't heard that, go back there. Not yet, though. Not yet. Woo, woo, woo. Go back there and have a listen to that too. You see, the reason why it's not working now is because it's now in direct conflict. Your unconscious mind is in direct conflict with itself. What does that mean, Cluffy? Well, what it means is it has this wonderful positive intention to keep you safe from being scared, frightened, embarrassed, guilty, hurt, and all that stuff. But, or an and it's making you feel the very same things that it's trying to protect you from. Because when you feel a screw up, or you feel you're not good enough and all that stuff, when you look at life, you feel scared. You feel frightened. You feel embarrassed for not doing it. You feel guilty for not doing it. Or you get frightened as hell as you get overwhelmed by putting all your effort into making sure, and how many making sures you could add to that. The very thing your unconscious mind is trying to protect you from is creating. And this is when your unconscious mind will get it now. It does a Homer Simpson moment. It goes, "Oh!" I can't do Homer Simpson. I would love to do Homer Simpson. Can anybody do a Homer Simpson? If you can, send me a little thing on where? Instagram or something like that. Send me a message with a little recording of your voice going, "No!" Then I can use it. I'd love to be able to use it. This is a sign. Anyway, where were we? Come back to me. The very thing your unconscious mind is trying to protect you from is what it's creating. And when it hears it, your unconscious mind must begin to think, how do I change? And you see, it has to find a better way, because if it's not doing the thing that it's supposed to do, which is, as I said before, the prime directive is to keep you safe and healthy and heal you. Well, it's actually causing distress and disease. Stress doesn't work. Worry doesn't work. Feeling a screw up doesn't work. But it works of a kind, but badly. It works badly. And you think you use a lot of effort into that. Have you ever done anything that is easy? Something you really enjoyed? Something that you were successful at and you enjoyed it and you just did it? How easy was it? Did it take any effort? We know the answer. I know the answer. Of course it didn't. It didn't take any effort at all, did it? You had bags of energy after. You could have done it over and over again. In fact, time flew. I thought I've been doing this for an hour. I've been immersed in this for hours and hours, and I've got such a good result. It was easy. And what did you believe about yourself? Well, I didn't really think, Cluffy. But I must have thought, I'm good at this. This is interesting. I wonder what I can achieve. How can I get it better? And it just flowed, didn't it? In the flow. So your unconscious mind has to find a better way. But the thing is, what is a better way? What would be a better way? Well, I've given you an example already, haven't I? When have you done this? Or when you've done anything, not this, but anything, successfully and believed in yourself and felt good and comfortable. That would be a better way if you used that amount of energy, those beliefs, that strategy. It would have produced probably the same result. Certainly wouldn't produce, I don't think, a worse result. It would, at worst, equal the result that you get anyway, but you'd feel good and you wouldn't feel tired, you wouldn't feel exhausted, you'd feel up for more. And probably as this would generalize, it would become easier to do. You'd get more stronger belief. You would you'd have supreme inner confidence. You'd be responsible for everything, and that responsibility gives you ultimate boom. Wouldn't it be awesome to do that? Well, how many other times have you felt and done something awesome? And why don't you just think about them now? Well, we'll come back to that. Don't do that yet. Don't do that yet. I'm just talking about things. You see, we've talked about when you believed in things. Or if you thought outside that, from experiences and learnings, how would you, if you knew how it might be? So just imagine it. If you imagine, instead of feeling this screw up, what might be a better way? Not the way you've done it before in the past, because that's like a resource. You've got those memories, and I'd encourage you to, we'll do that in a minute and think about them. But that's one way. The other way is to just think and imagine. What would be better? Let's make a little recipe, even if it's only a recipe of one skill. Maybe it's just being confident, not overconfident, confident in your competence, competency, or competent in your confidence, Or maybe it's just being focused. Maybe it's being connected. Maybe it's just being calm. Maybe it's just being, that's a pause. A pause for you to put in whatever you think would be good. So there's a couple of ways, but we're going to go into that in a minute. So here, let's really do. I've given you some thought, and the reason I'm going through it like this is because I want to prime your unconscious mind, because you've got your unconscious mind not on the ropes, because this is not a battle. We're not trying to battle your unconscious mind. We're working with your unconscious mind. Because this is everything we do when we work with ourselves, we're working with ourselves, with love and harmony, and with an aligned goal. Yeah? So here what we're going to do. So there's not a lot of people will just stop here, but I'm not. I don't do that. You know that. So here's the what and here's the how. Now, if you are experiencing this type of thing and it's really copying up your life, then I suggest one-to-one, especially if you want it done really quickly. So one-to-one therapy. Find a bloody good hypnotist who's a bloody good NLP practitioner who's pretty good at timeline as well. I'd say bloody good at timeline as well. Timeline therapy. Get them all together, has a load of experience, and you'll get it done within 1 or 2 sessions. 3 at the most. That's how I work. No more than 3 sessions. We get it done quickly. So find someone like that or like me. I do a lot of online work as well, but this is not a tout for me. If you want to have an inquiry about that, that's fine. You can email me. But there's loads of people local. Face-to-face is awesome. especially now COVID is out the way. We can now comfortably and safely work face to face. But the thing is, that's one thing. But what we're going to do now will only support that one-to-one work. Or if you're not doing one-to-one, it's going to do it anyway. So yes, this will help, or it might even just do it. So here's the things I want to do. Because if you just listen to all of this and don't do anything about it, you might have well wasted your time, unless you come back to it. But then you wasted your time not doing it. But here's the thing you need to do. Not need, I'd like you to do. I think would be helpful to do. You need a book, a piece of paper and a pen and a pencil. Book's good because you know you'll never lose. Well, you might lose a book, but you're more chance of losing a piece of paper. Write down how you feel. That's on one side. How do you feel? So you could feel, I'm a screw up. What's a screw up feel like? Well, it feels unconfident. Maybe it feels hurt. Maybe it feels frightened. Maybe it feels guilty. Maybe it feels embarrassment. Or, as I said before, you name it. Write down how you feel. And then, if you did that on the left-hand side of the page, on the right-hand side of the page, write down the complete opposite. And just notice what the complete opposite is. And they're not normally like, if I'm scared, well, I'm going to be courageous and rah. No, normally it's, well, I'll be comfortable. If I'm frightened, again, I'd be comfortable and maybe I'd be confident in myself. I love inner confidence. If it was embarrassed, no, I am confident in my skills and I can connect. Or I'm just calm. Guilty, I feel good about myself. What would be the opposite to you? But don't listen to listen to my words, but go from your heart. What would be the opposite? And you tend to find the opposite is exactly most of the recipe that would be a better way. Yeah? Normally is. And it's normally then where your unconscious mind could say, and this is where we start to get your unconscious mind to take this in board. We're sowing the seeds that will nurture into fruition. Just look at that and think, you see, here's the thing. When you write down the opposite, that means you've already got it. Because you'll have to have experienced it in the past to know that it exists. Because if you didn't know about it, you might know the word, but you wouldn't put it down because you wouldn't know how it feels to be opposite that. So that means you've actually got those resources inside, just haven't been using them. So now we've got a list. And don't just leave it as one. See if you can come up with 2 or 3. So we write down how it feels, maybe the belief, and then what's the opposite, and see how appropriate it is. How much better? It's got to be better, isn't it? It's got to be better. But it's probably so close to the real mark. And then what I want you to do is find 5 experiences of the past when you've nailed it. When you've really nailed it. And I think you'll find as you write, and you've got to write them out. Yeah, you don't have to write a whole page out. It's not homework. But you need to write a couple of lines to just describe it. Doesn't have to be in, well, I don't know whether it was in February or March. No. In the past, there was that one time. Because keep them individual. You've got to be specific. They've got to be unique. Specifically. Each experience, and keep them separate. When you nailed it. When you were absolutely so successful. And you enjoyed it. Write them down. Because when you do that, you have to think about it. And when you think about it, you're reliving it. When you're reliving it, you're feeling those feelings again. And I'm going to guess those feelings will either be the same as the opposite or they'll give richness to the opposite. And you write them all down. Why do you write them down? You always come back, can't you? You come back. It also has muscle memory, makes you think and write, and that you actually got inner dialogue going. And you're thinking about the positive. Each one of these now is thinking about the positive. The solution to this. Still keeping the positive intention, because every time you used to do that thing and experience nailing it, you felt so safe. You didn't feel scared. You didn't feel hurt. You didn't feel frightened. You didn't feel guilty. You didn't feel embarrassed, or you fill in the blank. Yeah. And then you write them down. And having written them down, you'll have felt them. And then when you've written them down, and I think probably you'd press pause right now. In a minute, press pause. Because then you can come back to this, because I want to do a little process with you. And I might edit it and put it on the hypnosis tracks as well. But let's just do a little process and maybe expand it later. So press pause. Do that writing down of how you feel. Write down the opposites. Notice how much better they'd be. Then find those 5 experiences of the past where you really nailed it. Describe them. Notice what belief you had. And then, when you've done that, earphones on, making sure, because I'm a therapist, but I'm not your therapist. So that's I have to say that. But also, make sure you're going to be undisturbed. Make sure you're going to be undisturbed so you can just have these minutes with your eyes closed. So you're going to have nothing to do, nothing that needs your attention. No working machinery. And I think that's from days gone by, but no working machinery. Okay? And when you've got that, just settle. Maybe just keeping your head straight, but just look up above eye level, just for a moment, gently, and take an in-breath with me. And hold it for the count of 4. And now let it out low and slow. And as you do, allow your eyes to close. And as you allow your eyes to close, just breathe normally now.
So
making every in-breath more gentle than the one before. That's right. And as you breathe this way,
breathing comfortably,
you may just imagine, what would it be like if the muscles of your eyes and around your eyes and the backs of your eyes were to get so soft, so comfortable, that you would just allow that comfort to go inside each and every breath.
Let it spread.
So as if every out-breath expands that feeling of comfort in through your whole body. Every cell, every muscle of you becomes so comfortable and safe.
So comfortable.
And as you do that, I want you to begin to think of one of those experiences where you just nailed it. That's right. Just pick one. And go back there now. Just go right back. Go back into that one specific memory. Bring it to mind.
Just pick one.
And go there. Go back there and see what you saw. See it. Hear what you heard. Hear it. Just feel it. And feel the feeling. Experience it completely. And as you experience it completely, I want you, the unconscious mind, to notice the skills that you're using. Learning unconsciously. At the unconscious level. You use wonderful skills and positive supporting beliefs and behaviors that were so congruent and aligned together. And the energy just flowed. And notice at the unconscious level how safe you kept them. So safe. And notice how the success of this experience, so comfortably safe, you were able to generalize it into other areas. So many different ways. So you were using those skills and beliefs and behaviors, emotions, to just be. That's right. And as you do that and you learn from that, learning and I want you consciously now to remember another one of those experiences. That's right. Let go of that first one. And bring to mind. And then just bring to mind one of those experiences where you nailed it. Another one of those other ones. Right and go now. Back to that one. Go back there now. Again, go back into your body, go back into that memory and re-experience that wonderful, positive see what you'd experience. See what you saw, hear what you heard. And feel the emotions. Feel the body. Just notice how good it felt and how that success made you feel. Oh, nailing it. Oh, how good. Naturally. Nailed it. In the flow. And again, as you're doing that consciously, I want you, the unconscious mind, to really notice the skills, the resources, the emotions, the behaviors and the positive beliefs that you created for them to have this experience. You did it. And how good it felt for them. And how safe they felt, how good you were doing your job at the unconscious level to protect them. You protected them. And at the end of that experience, how good they felt. Didn't it feel good? Because you protected them in such a wonderful, positive way. Feeling so comfortable. Now I want you, the unconscious mind, to take those other experiences, take them all, and do the same thing very quickly to understand the beliefs, the emotions, the wonderful positive supporting beliefs, emotions, learning everything, the behaviors and the skills preserving of those other experiences they wrote down. So they'll be available to you and them. The opposite whenever you need they wrote down of the way they felt with the issue. And notice how those skills and the opposites tend to come together. Don't they feel I wonder what it would be like if you, the unconscious mind, was to take these as a recipe for wonderful success, keeping them safe, getting them even more successful in life. Because it's good to wonder. Protect them from feeling screwed, hurt, frightened, embarrassed, guilt, or whatever they named. Just letting them go. But by feeling confident, focused, connected, calm, or whatever these ingredients are, these wonderful ingredients. And to notice if you were to go into the future using these wonderful experiences, this wonderful recipe of success in the future, see how much better it would be. So much better, easier life would be for both of you. How aligned and congruent you would both be, consciously and unconsciously. Creating your goals and going through the future in the now, feeling awesome, making dreams happen, having so much energy for life, love, and feeling good. Just doing good in the world, selfless service, because you can. Following their values, living the life they dream of, but dreaming of it in a positive way, being the real you. And as you do that, just learn. At the unconscious level, just learn that everything you needed back then, they have now in abundance. You have it, so you can use everything that they needed back then that they have in abundance to add to this recipe of success. And consciously, I'd just like you now to just say thank you to your best friend. With your internal voice, just express your gratitude. Feel grateful. How good it is to have a best friend that's going to support you. And you, the unconscious mind, can now notice how you can just let go of that old stuff, that old conflict, and start working with all these wonderful skills, wonderful set of empowering beliefs, feeling empowerment. Have them feel empowered, totally strong inside, inner strength and inner confidence. But most of all, feeling comfortable and loved. And when you're ready, this is Paul, you can come back. So let's just take a lovely in-breath with me. And breathe out. Open your eyes. Whoa, come back to me in the real world. Look around, see how good life is. Because it is good. And then I wonder. Just let things go for a little while. Have some fun. If you want to re-listen to it, if you didn't write them down, then you really got to now, because now you know you do. But if you did, now you know how good things can be. Have fun. Have fun. I think I will probably either extract that and put it into the free hypnosis track, so it's a one-off, or I might even record just that element. Who knows? Let me know what you think. And with that in mind, I'd love your feedback. I do get feedback. I get questions. So please ask me your questions. If you have an issue, even if you don't know what you want, but you know how you're feeling, let me know. And let me come up with a process. If I don't know one, I'll make one for you. Something inside me will generate something I know. Let me know by critique as well. If you think there's any way I can be more and give more, let me know. How do you do that? There's an email. It's called feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. Only comes to me, get a personal reply, as those who have emailed me know, and they've experienced it. And that's that. I want you to share this, because if anybody is feeling like they're a screw up, it's funny now, isn't it? Feeling a screw up. that hurt, that old bit of frightening, that old embarrassment, that old guilt. Isn't it strange when you think back now to that old feeling? It's hard to get, isn't it? And the harder you try to get that old emotion, that negative emotion, the further it disappears. That's weird, isn't it? And even saying that old belief, that negative belief out loud it doesn't have any substance, does it? Because it just disappears. Anyway, give me your critique. I'd love to know how you enjoyed this episode. So again, same email, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. Do send me your thoughts and experiences. It'd be awesome. Thank you. And as I said, share this to everyone because I want them to feel better. You want them to feel better. I want them to be in the flow. What's it like to be with people all working and being in the flow? It's awesome, isn't it? Giving love, selfless service, doing things for others with no expectation of return. What a wonderful world we would be and living in. It'd be awesome. I'd love it. And this is my little contribution. So do that. Have a look at paulcloughonline.com for one or two of the premium programs I have, and premium. It's only 2 or 3 premium hypnosis tracks, but they're good. And you get a massive discount if you've signed up to the hypnosis tracks. The free ones, that is. Anyway, have a most wonderful time to feeling confident, focused, connected and calm. Oh, and by the way, you the unconscious mind. Why don't you surprise them? Surprise their conscious mind by feeling happy for no reason at all. Just feeling happy. Surprise their conscious mind during the day and every day. And with that, it is, as you know, time to fly. Thank you so much for your time. Time is precious. I didn't say that before. I'm just saying it now. Time is so precious. So I really appreciate you lending me your ear here. So thank you so much. Anyway, now's the time to flap our wings and fly. Bye-bye now. Until the next time. Bye.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.